webinar every month, and then ask me anything office hours. So I usually am doing one a week, and then recording videos and all this stuff. So I'm on this one, and we had 650 people live with me. And I'm going into our Google Analytics trying to show something live, you know, pulling up the desktop. And it was like, what are some top searches that people are looking for that are leading them to specific blogs? And so we had like a Meet the Team blog post about me. So I was like, let's just use that one as an example. Won't give away anything. So we pull up Google Analytics, and like one of the queries that came up live was, is Samantha Russell pregnant? And that was like a query that
nice.
And it was so awkward. And there's apparently like a B-list celebrity named Samantha Russell, and that's what people were looking for, but they were coming to our page.
Sure. Keep telling yourself that, Samantha. Keep telling yourself that. By the way, save all this great comedy for later. We're about ready to start.
I've got to switch over for a second to this one. JD, did you see who just entered?
Yeah, Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan has entered the room.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
My goodness. I'm bringing it back right now.
And here we go. Okay, Brandon's ready. All right, Brandon, you go ahead and kick us off.
I hope so.
I love that potato. Smile for me, Chad. Smile.
Dude, Chad, will you do the potato the entire time?
No.
Come on, dude.
I should have done this last time so you guys couldn't have made fun of my hair the whole time.
Did you cut your hair?
No, it's still there.
Okay, good.
It's going to be one late night that I decided to just chop it all off.
I really need to cut my own hair soon.
I'm working on a new one, JD, but
It's all right. Just do the long one.
I'm just not feeling creative. By the way, Samantha, this is our lead-in one at live events. And the lights are coming up.
And Chad starts dancing.
Right now.
All right.
Yay.
Boom.
Chad, the dancing potato. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Retireholics. And yes, we are still sheltering in place, according to my governor. I'm not allowed to go surfing. I'm not allowed to go basically do anything, but it's all right. We're still doing this. And as long as we're sheltering in place, we'll be coming at you Tuesdays and Thursdays. At what time, Mark?
Whatever time it is right now.
We're 2 minutes late, Mark.
Well, no, I mean, it's different time everywhere, you know, depends on where you are.
True. And I'm joined with Mark Palmini, Justin McNeil, my producer and brother, Brandon Carlson, is behind the scene. There he is. And Mr. Potato. So smile for me, Mr. Potato. And we have got a special guest with us today. She's wondering what the hell she agreed to right now. But we've got Samantha Russell from 20 over 10. Say hello to the people, Samantha.
Hello, everyone. So great to be here.
I want to ask you first a little bit about yourself and kind of your specialty and the company that you're here representing. But before I do that, I'd like to read from you the Retireholics group chat from a couple of nights ago. We were talking about, I told them, hey, we're going to have Samantha. She's from 20 over 10. And I want you to just explain to us what 20 over 10 means, because these were some of the quotes that I got. 20 over 10. Is that how many beers JD drinks alone in a hotel room while watching movies? 20 over 10 sounds like a made up speeding ticket you get from your HOA board. 20 over 10. Why not just call your company 30 and save us the syllables? Which, by the way, is bad math. I think you should
it's
call it
2.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
2.
20 over 10. I think that might be my blood alcohol content right now. And then the last one, 20 over 10. This is my favorite. I don't know why. Is also the average blood pressure of a sea anemone. I don't know, but why don't you tell us what really is 20 over 10?
First of all, you guys need to really
Get a life.
stop working on just, the 401k world and do some stand-up, because that's hilarious. But so when we were launching the company, the co-founders were trying to think of a name that was different than just something that had the word advisor or finance or investment in the name. And so the whole idea when we launched the initial product that we provided was websites and online presence for advisors. And so we kept going back to the idea of your website, the vision you have for your brand, how do you want to be portrayed online, and site, eyesight versus site, website, SITE. And people think that in order to get a perfect vision or perfect site, you should have 20/20 vision, but with assistive technologies, you can actually get 20/10 vision. So it's a play on words. That it's a fun story to tell and good talking point, but those are some hilarious comments. I think I'm going to need to steal those from you and tweet them, because
you can have them. And by the way, that was what Mark had stalked you earlier and found out for us is what it actually meant. But thanks for the confirmation. And no, that's cool. And by the way, cool new modern companies name themselves funky, neat things like that. So you're cool, you're hip, you're modern.
Or we're just confusing people. I don't know. No, I it's like, it's so true. It's a good talking point. People don't always know what it means, but they remember, usually what they write when they're talking about us is 20/10. So we need to, I think, maybe incorporate that into the branding instead of just the written out version, but good question.
We did a lot of the same thinking. I think we've got my father and the founder of the company has logged into this Zoominar, and he was really creative. He called our company Plan Design Consultants. So, Brandon, that's where you play the wah, wah, wah media thing. But just kidding. Just
Not
kidding,
as
Dad.
effective if you have to be told to do it, though.
Just kidding, Dad. We love you. We love you. It's a great company name. Hope you're enjoying retirement. Should be spending it doing things more fun than tuning into this, but we still love you.
Just checking in to see if he has to come back or not.
Nobody likes to hear our banter. I say this all the time. So let's just get right to it. But for everyone that's tuning in, what I'd really like you to do is pay close attention, because this is a different subject matter for us. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think you can really basically take notes, walk away with some real tangible, actionable items, some takeaways, some things you can put in your practice right away. That excites me because that's what I want for you. So pay close attention to that. And then Samantha, let me also let you know and let the audience know that we like to play a little game. It's called Prohibitive Word. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words that we think you might say.
We don't think. We stalked you and looked at which words you repeat most often and came up with these 5 words as part of your normal acumen.
Okay.
If you say the
Okay.
first,
Okay, pickle. Got it.
if you say the first word, we will all have to race. It's kind of like the college game when you put your thumb on the table to put up a background on our screen. The last one to do it will have to drink from something really nasty that they have. What do you guys have? Mark, Justin, you got something nasty? Show it to me. You better have.
I think mine is gonna be the worst ever. I was at Costco the other day, and I don't know. I was like, I'm gonna buy some rum. I don't know, and I bought the Costco version of Captain Morgan. It's not good. It's not good at all.
They have their own generic brand.
Doesn't it always?
I need to know what that's called.
That version.
It doesn't have Kirkland in the name, so I don't know what it's called.
And we also
for
the first time, because we're intimidated by you and we had seen something you'd put out there that you needed to have these polling things on your webinars. So we're trying that for the first time just because you're here. We'll see how that goes. I saw the poll jumping up there, but let's dive right into it. Oh, sorry.
You're gonna tell me what the words are?
No, No, you'll know. But once you think you know what the word is, let us know, because then we'll move on to the next word. Okay. We'll play it by ear. Don't worry about it. We don't follow a lot of the rules around here. Just wing it. Okay. There's the poll going up. Okay. Let me read from the poll. Thanks, Brandon. How would you rate your current use of digital media or social media, digital marketing or social media? 14% of you totally suck. 18% of you did something. I tweeted a couple times back in 2011. All right. 45%, doing okay. 18%, good, pretty good. And 5% are crushing it like Gary V. What do you think, Samantha? Did those line up with your normal kind of statistics?
Yeah, honestly, pretty much on point. Although I will say a lot of times people who think they're doing bad are the ones that are doing pretty good because they know too much. So they are judging themselves against what they know. And the ones that say they're doing really good, we'll look at it and we're like, oh, you're doing terrible. So sometimes you're not the best judge of your own.
That's
Very true.
That's not the case here, Chad. You think you're doing bad and you really are doing pretty bad.
Hey, I'm fair.
Samantha, let's jump right into an article I read from you. You said, or the title of the article was, if I was a financial advisor, these are the 8 marketing things that I would do right now. Can you take us through those 1 through 8?
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole reason that I wrote the article was because there was a lot of people scrambling that we saw who really relied on straight referrals and events to market their business. And with people not able to go out and have events and people not seeing neighbors as much and sort of these natural conversations not spurring up, a lot of people were stressed about moving to a digital model. Realistically, the things that I've outlined in this article are the same things that I was saying 6 months ago. It just got a lot of attention because I said right now, but they're really the same, honestly. The only one that was different, and I'll start there, number 1, is if you have any pre-scheduled communication. So whether you buy content or you use a service that syndicates content for you, or you wrote something in advance and you had scheduled it out, you want to check all those campaigns to make sure you're not pushing something out that's going to appear really tone deaf. I've seen some really big brands actually do this.
Yeah.
I was on Reddit recently and one of the ads was like, you have places to go and people to see. And it was like, no, we actually don't, So you want to make sure that any of the language you're using in those communications is going to be appropriate. The second thing is updating your current website to make sure it's reflecting any of the contact information. So SEO, search engine optimization, is a really, really prominent way people find businesses. For some reason in financial services, there's this misconception that people don't just search for advice or an advisor online, but that is not true. Multiple studies have proven that not to be true. It might be that Google is part of the search process in addition to getting names from people, but they're vetting people via Google.
Right.
And so you want to make sure that your website and it's something else called Google My Business is up to date. And I'll mention Google My Business here in a second. But when I say up to date, what I mean is most of you are not working in an office anymore. So you want to make sure if there's a phone number that's being forwarded, if you're using your cell instead of an office line, that you've changed all of that so that people can get in touch with you. And you don't just want to have a form for people to fill out. I see a lot of firms where they don't have an email address prominent, but let's say your client's older and they get ill, they fall ill. You want their family members to be able to reach you. So you need to make it where they can get in touch with you.
Are you suggesting that your website should allow people to figure out how to get in touch with you?
Without filling out
advice.
10 form field,
Yeah.
10 form fields. Yes, absolutely. And then going back to my earlier point. So Google My Business, if you're on the call right now and you've never set this up for your company, write that down as an absolute must do when you get off this call. It's a free tool that any business owner can set up, and every single person who owns a business or a website should do this. So it allows you to claim your business on Google and tell Google things that you want it to know about you so that you can help determine when people should find you online. So we have a whole blog post about it on our 20 over 10 blog, which I'll give a plug to, I'm sure, many times throughout this presentation, this webinar. What did you call it? A Zoominar?
Zoominar.
A Zoominar. But yeah, so if you go to blog.20over10.com, you can search Google My Business, and we have a whole checklist for you of what you should do. But it will really make a difference in how people find you online and how well you're ranking. And most advisors don't do it. So if you do it, you're going to, stand above competition.
Hey, JD, our pre-show banter before Samantha jumped on, where I said a lot of the recommendations were kind of similar to others that they're not. I just took probably 5 or 6 notes that I have not heard a single person mention outside of what you just did and in some of your content. So kudos to you guys. It's definitely telling a different story.
I think retirement plan advisors could maybe scoff a little bit at SEO in terms of is a committee or decision makers really going to Google to find their next 401k plan advisor? But I think Samantha kind of touched on it. If that was true and they're not, they're surely going to Google you once they've met you to kind of get and vet you out. And that's always true. And so anyways, I agree with that 1,000,000%.
And to your point, most people get a list of 2 to 3, 4, 5 at the max names that they're going to seriously consider. And what is the first thing they do?
Yeah.
They're going to look them up, So, and this kind of leads me into my second point, which is if you are not currently creating content that talks about how you help people. So you want to talk about the problem that potential customers or people that you're selling to have and the solutions you provide that alleviate that problem. That is the story you want to always have in the back of your mind. What is the pain point in the problem that people have and why are they hiring me? And then come up with every article under the sun to address those problems. That's content marketing in a nutshell. That is how we make purchase decisions now. There's stats all over the place, but the one that I hear most often is that people between 8 and 17 times will look at a firm's website, their LinkedIn, multiple touch points before they decide to contact them. And those are all opportunities for you to be teaching them something about why you're the expert that they should hire over someone else. And content marketing is really late to the game in our industry as a whole, because people will, I think, always felt like they were giving away secrets if they put too much information out there. But it's the exact opposite. People want to hire someone to do things for them that has already proven themselves to be knowledgeable.
Are you familiar with the term jab, 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 right hook, Samantha?
From boxing? Yes.
Yeah. What? From Gary Vee?
Oh, no.
No. So that's what that means. What you've done really well, and what I've seen from you on the internet is you walk your talk. Like you're very busy on social. You're always putting stuff out there and valuable stuff. So the content you put out drives value, right? It's actually stuff that people can use, and it from a variety of different subject matter. And I see that as your ethos of what you're doing. And I think more people need to understand that in social media, that you should be what jab, 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 right hook means is give,
No.
and then sell. Keep giving things to people that they can use that are valuable. And then, once in a while, you can tell them about yourself and what you do. But what you really should be doing is giving them things that they want to have. And I see you do that really, really well. And I felt like that's what you're kind of touching on there.
Well, thank you for the nice compliment. I mean, at the end of the day, people are going to hire you because you're helpful to them. That's why they're hiring you. You're providing some sort of solution, and when you think about, it doesn't even always have to be content that you create when it comes to social media. So I just saw right before we hopped on this call, an advisor who works with large hospitals and medical professionals at the hospitals. I don't know if he, provides the 401k plans to the administrator, but he had these great resources he's been sharing on social media of free discounts that any medical professional can get right now. Oh God, what did I say?
Mark, you lose.
I lost.
This is not fair.
I lost.
No, sorry. Good guess, Samantha. Keep going. That's not the word. It's all right.
I'm staring into the camera and not all of you. So it took me a minute to
keep doing that. It's great.
Yeah.
So he provided this roundup of discounts that different companies are offering to nurses and doctors right now. So it was a list to say like Under Armour, 40% off if you can prove you're a healthcare worker. And so it has nothing to do with what he does. It's just a helpful piece of information that's interesting. And so many people were liking and commenting on it and saying, I'm going to share this with my friends who are doctors and nurses. But he happens to provide financial planning and advice to that demographic. So his name is getting out there and it's tied to a good deed, but it has nothing to necessarily, it wasn't content he had to create, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's take you to number 3, which is on your list, which you said, put together a weekly email to all clients. And maybe in the past, we could have given the same advice, but it's more important now, right? To be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys. It's been pretty overwhelming to try to keep up with the news. I think a lot of people have been taking news detoxes. They don't want to read it all. I love what my advisor has done from the economic standpoint. He has been reading all the articles coming out, you know, whether it's about PPP plan and what's happening with that, or the CARES Act and all the different parts of that. And he will send an email every week saying, here's the top points you should know, or takeaways from everything that's transpired over the last week. He does them in bullet points. And then at the bottom, he says, pulled from articles and links to those articles that he read them in, whether it's the New York Times or wherever. So I don't have to go and read all these articles. He's doing it for me. And then
But don't you love to read?
I do love to read, yes.
I know. So what's up with that?
But it's one less thing I have to pay, you know, attention to. And a tip though, what he does that's very effective is he always will include in those weekly client emails a personal story. So it's something that's not related at all to the markets or the pandemic. And he's told me the thing that people always respond back to the most. So he has 2 little kids. He's sort of sharing funny antics about what they're doing during the lockdown. I know another friend of mine who's an advisor who he'll share on this day, you know, X number of years ago, and he puts a YouTube clip in of a really awesome piece of music, and people will always respond back and say, oh my God, that brings me back to, you know, high school, or this happening. So, you know, be useful and relevant, but also think of ways, just like you guys all do here, to forge connection and be a real human being.
Yeah, we've said for a long time that advisors need to find ways to be resources for clients, for prospects, for the folks that are listening into them, because the communications and the content that we have access to, they typically don't. They're not getting bombarded with payroll protection program emails and details, but we are. So we need to make sure that we don't feel bad when we're sharing somebody else's work on this content. We should be pushing that, because in all likelihood, the client's not seeing it. And I'll add to JD saying number 3. Number 4 was probably more insightful to me, which is make sure you're sending a similar email, at least in the same vein, to your prospects.
Always got to be about sales, Chad. Always got to be about sales with you.
That's why I'm here. But no, we've said this for a long time. If you're building something for a client, in all likelihood, it's your best sales tool. Because if it's valuable for your client, it's going to be very valuable for your prospect and likely lead to a stronger relationship. So why not leverage it?
I historically, you know, we've got about 750 clients, give or take. And I don't bother them a lot with email blasts because, you know, we reach out to them on serious matters. My team reaches out to them to do serious work. So I don't feel like I touch them that often throughout the year, but because of COVID, because of CARES Act, because of this fast changing legislation, I've been reaching out to them in these blast emails. And I have to tell you, it actually feels really good to me to do. And the responses I get from people make me feel good as well. So I'm kind of learning a little bit from this period that, geez, maybe I should be reaching out to my clients a little more often, not just because it's the right thing to do or it makes sense business wise, but it actually makes me feel good to connect with them. So anyways,
yeah.
Sorry to throw that in there.
No, I think, you know, one of the things that if you're not already in the habit, you know, now is a good time to start. People I think are expecting it, but you know, sending like a templated email that has no personality, that's just like, here's your daily dose of economic news, is going to do nothing. It needs to be written.
Yeah.
by a person and come across like it's written by a person who's checking in. Hey, how are you doing? And you could, even if you're sending it to 600 people, you can start it by saying, hey, how are you doing? Like you genuinely want to know, right? And so keeping that in mind, like you're writing to a human being, not blasting to 600 people.
Nevin Adams wants to know if I could add him to my email list. And Nevin, if you bring us your 401k plan, I can add you to the list. There's been a poll, and it's been scaring the shit out of me. It's which Retireholics will need to slam a double shot of the hard liquor.
Yeah, I can't do that.
And I think we're going to end the poll with 73% voted. Are you okay with that, everybody? 73% voted?
Me to end it? We'll go ahead and end it now.
Scary. It's
Okay.
got to be Brandon.
It's Chad at 27%.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I feel like that was a Mark and Justin slanting there.
Thank you for not including me because I don't have any hard liquor.
I saw you drink
Samantha,
from
what,
two different
what are you
cups, so-
drinking?
I have wine. It's just wine. And then I have I'm so annoying. I have a sparkling water, a water bottle, and a glass of wine.
Wow. So annoying.
So hydrated.
Here's
Do
my
you-
double shot.
Do you
High
really,
maintenance, I guess is the word I was looking for. Sorry, go ahead.
do you really believe that all advisors out there should be recording a video on their phone?
I do. And I'm going to say this, and most people will never do it. And the reason, and I don't mean you need to do it all of the time, but when you want to grow and you're looking for ways to prospect. I just was introduced to someone the other day, and he sent me back, instead of a long email, he sent me back a 30-second video of him talking to introduce himself, back to me. And I was actually, I don't know, I was doing something in my kitchen, and I just hit play and could listen to it while I was walking around rather than having to sit there and read it. It might be a stretch for some people, but I will say, since I started doing a video every week, the number of leads that just personally come to me for our business are about 30 per day.
So Samantha, that's because you do good videos.
Well, thank you for that.
If an advisor does a horrible video, don't you feel like people will never call him or her again? I don't know.
Well, if you're doing a horrible video, yes, don't put out. But going back to my earlier point, I do think it's a good exercise, regardless of if you actually share it,
Sure.
because so many people get hung up on writing blog content or writing the emails or how am I going to say this? But most of you can sit down. If I say, what are 3 things you want all of your current clients to know amid the pandemic and the economic turmoil? You could sit here and come up with 3 things pretty easily and talk to me about them. So recording a video allows you to communicate that. It doesn't even need to be a video if you want to, do an audio file or something to collect your thoughts, and then turn that into a long form blog post that you can use as a piece of content. But looking at some stats, so right now, YouTube is reporting 15% increase in the total number of sessions. I just did a webinar a couple of months ago about one of the largest growing demographics on YouTube is people over 55. So there's this big misconception that people are watching video are all in their 20s and, they're on Instagram and they're not decision makers. That is not the case. People go to YouTube to learn new things. They are going there for information. And so if you record video, it's a great way to get in front of an audience that you may not get their attention in other ways.
What do you think is the appropriate length for those videos?
For social media, I really like to be about the 1.5 to 3 minute mark. So right around 2 minutes. And then for YouTube, they can be much longer. I've seen a lot of advisors have success taking complicated topics, creating webinars about them, uploading the webinars to YouTube, and they're not gated. Anyone can watch them. It can be 20, 30 minutes long. Some of our most popular videos on our YouTube channel are 60 minutes, but we go really in depth about a particular topic. And that's another, for all of you on the call and what you're doing, that's a great way to show your expertise. Take topics you're already talking about, turn them into a webinar or presentation that you can record as a video with some slides and upload them to a YouTube channel. YouTube is the 2nd largest search engine after just plain Google search. That is where people go to look for information. So it's a huge missed opportunity to not be repurposing content there. And then think about it, right? Like you've mentioned, you see me all the time on LinkedIn. Seeing somebody's face is much different than just hearing their name. You see somebody in your local community all the time, seeing someone's face helps you remember them so much more. And so video helps to do that. When somebody's finally ready to make a change or to hire a new person, they're going to think of you because they've been seeing your face all the time.
I wish, we've been on YouTube for 5 years, but nobody seems to go to our channel, but we'll keep plugging away at it. Amanda has been throwing some stuff in the chats there. I think she might be helping you out, or she just loves you and stalks you.
Oh, hi, Amanda. I didn't know Amanda was on. She is our director of marketing and she's amazing. So if you don't have, this is a good tip too. If you're going to start doing webinars, you need an Amanda. Amanda is, my partner in crime. And so whenever we do webinars, she's behind the scenes. And she will put links to blog posts, to guides, to downloads that people can use to summarize key points and answer questions so that I'm not furiously reading the chat, answering questions, and talking at the same time. I'm not distracted. So have somebody in your office come and do them with you live so that they can be your partner in crime.
Very smart. Amanda, whatever she's paying you, I'll double it. Work for us. Okay, so Amanda put up the link to the blog, so y'all can kind of check in on some of those other 8 points, and I think you should. That's another homework item for you to take away. And then I want to talk about a few more social media, digital marketing type of things. But first, we always play a game with our guest, and we call the game, what do we call it, Mark?
I don't know.
It's called Who's That? And
Yeah.
we're going to show you a clip.
Okay.
It's a movie clip, and you're going to have to try to guess what movie it is. Hold your answer till the end of the clip, and then we'll take a crack at it. All right. You ready, Brandon?
Sure.
Give it a shot.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Oh, this is easy.
Any guesses, Samantha?
Dirty Dancing.
Wow. Impressive.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
That's right.
That line is what I wouldn't have got it otherwise.
All right, here's the next one.
Next one.
Here, you fat lard, come get some dinner.
Yeah.
Eat. Eat the food.
Oh God, I've seen this a long time ago. It's the one with the dorky kid, right?
Yes.
Close enough.
Yes.
Wow.
You nailed it.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Impressive.
Tina, eat.
I think Amanda's sending her the answer.
All right.
Alex, what is the one with the dorky kid?
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup. You want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
Step Brothers?
Wow. 3 for 3. 3 for 3.
Who's the one guy you would sleep with? John Stamos. What? Did we just become best friends? Yup. You want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
All right. Now I'm kind of curious if she could get our throwaway. You think she could get the throwaway, Jake?
Let's
No.
test her. Let's go 4 for 4.
You're dead to me, boy. You're more dead to me
Oh, come on.
than your dead mother. I just thank the Lord you didn't live to see our son as a mermaid. Merman. Merman!
That Meet the Fockers?
Oh, no.
Close. Very
Had the
close.
right
in a
answer.
way.
You know why? Because I could see. Whoa.
No, but you're good. You're good. 3 for 4. I think you're definitely the.
Thank the Lord you
Can
didn't
you,
live to
can
see
you
our son.
imagine that Ben Stiller is noticeable in pixels like that?
The
His
hanger.
head's that uniquely shaped.
I don't even know what movie that was, but I obviously could tell it was Ben.
I might catch you off guard with this one a little bit. I apologize. But what do you know about like the rules, the algorithms at some of these things. Because when I'm posting on LinkedIn, sometimes I feel like I'm that guy in the Australian outback trying to find the water with 2 sticks. Like I can't figure out some things I put out there completely die and I get, 3 or 4 or 5, 6 likes. I'll put other things out there. I'll get several hundred, 350, 400 likes and 20,000 views. And I have my own ideas, but it's a mystery. It's a black box for me to try to figure out how that
Specific
stuff
to
works.
LinkedIn, right? You're talking
Yeah, specific to LinkedIn. Is that something that you study, you guys pay attention to, you try to figure out, or?
Yeah, definitely. For me, I have found it's about momentum. So if I get those likes and those comments immediately, then the algorithm kicks in and they're like, hey, this is a topic that's starting to trend and let's put more eyeballs on it. I have gotten a lot of people messaging me recently who've noticed that as well, who are sort of influencers on LinkedIn who will say things like, hey, I just posted this. Will you go like or comment on it? And they'll try to identify other people who can do it right away. So that seems to be like a way people try to hack it. One of the things that I do is about every 4th or 5th time I post, instead of just posting the link or the URL, I will say, here's what it is that I'm talking about and why it's important. If you're interested, you want me to send it to you, comment below.
I've seen
And then
that one.
that activates the comments to get started. And I'll ask a question like, I'm going to be going live on a webinar. Which of these topics would you most like me to talk about? Here's a link to register. So I am giving them the link, but I'm saying, which one should we pay the most attention to when we have this person on, and let people vote. And then their comments start to, be what gets the piece trending. So getting the comments and the likes really quickly on LinkedIn specifically seems to work best.
I've seen that approach. I was going to ask you maybe if it was more of a timing thing. But then you're saying, no, it's if you can get people to like and comment. I always feel scared though. I hate asking that thing to get people to comment. Then you worry like no one's gonna comment.
You have to take, right? But the thing is, if no one's commenting, then maybe like 3 people are gonna see it. So it doesn't matter.
Well, and you said 1 in every 5 posts or so you're doing that. If you're doing it every single time, people are probably a little peeved that you're asking to comment each time. But if you're asking a question 1 every 5 posts, it's not too much. And
also what you're giving away should be incredibly worth them commenting, right? So for instance, we did a webinar with Taylor Schulte, who's an awesome advisor, and he has these really amazing processes. So once a lead is in his pipeline, he has all of these scripts for how he automates his emails so that they're being dripped on. And then once they book a call on book a time on his calendar, he has scripts for what every email says leading up to that encounter. And so we gave that away and he offered to like make that available to people. So it was a very good value add to comment to get. Or today, I said that the CFA Institute has a list of 23 questions that they put out there that people, high net worth investors, should ask potential advisors. And if you want me to send it to you, comment below. And people want that list of questions so they can make sure they can answer them. So don't, just have some generic crappy piece of content that you're asking people to comment to get. It needs to be worthwhile.
Right. I think and I don't want to get into this today, but you hear all about everyone being authentic and being creative with their content and having content that stands out. And I think all those points are very, very, very true and important. But I'd like to see advisors start at square one and just like you're saying, just start to share. There's plenty of valuable content that they can share. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We talked about this before, guys, like all they really have to do is just take a look back at the last 2 weeks and
make a comment with it, right? Add a little bit of your own flavor to it and then share it. Why was it valuable to you? Why did you care? Why did you choose to share it? Something that goes along with it goes a long ways.
You're talking about repurposing other people's stuff, which is a great idea, Chad. I was talking about just look at your last 2 weeks of your job. What did you help clients with? What pissed you off? What made you happy? What were you proud about? What did you feel guilty about? I mean, just use those real things that happened and turn them into some content.
I think to your point, I can't believe how many people share something like a link to an article and they give no context as to why they're sharing it. Like that would never even cross my mind to do that. They'd be like sending an email to someone with a link, but not telling them why you're sending them the email. So social media is the exact same. Why should someone spend the time to read this? So think about that. Like what are they going to gain? So if it's 5 points to consider before, about when you're evaluating your 401k plan, even if you write something like the whole article is pretty good, but number 4 is really important. You could even say most people never consider number 4, and that can be it. Like that can be the hook that gets them to click it, but it needs to be compelling enough. And then to your point about, what are people asking you? I tell everybody I work with, keep a notepad next to you if you like to write things down, or use Evernote on your computer, but every client conversation you have, write down the questions they ask you, and not just what questions they ask, but in the tone and the wording that they use, because the search engine, nobody searches anymore just like a keyword or two. We use what's called long tail keywords. So we type the way we talk. And so if you write out the question in the same jargon or wording that the client uses, you're going to reflect what most other people will word that question as. Use that as the title for your blog post to answer it, and you will get a lot of people finding you in the search engines just because you've worded, you've authored a piece with that question.
I also think in that same vein, there's a lot of people putting out the same type of content, especially in financial services, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a very professional title, very professional
It's not
paragraphs.
just the same, dude. It's the exact same.
It's the exact same. And there you go, PCH. Mark is participating.
I said something there.
It's the exact same. And I think the best way to make things stand out that's easy is to have it be something from the heart, like you just talked about. So maybe you think number 4 is really interesting. I would argue that anytime you can touch on something personal to you, maybe something even vulnerable. I find that if I'm vulnerable and honest, almost like someone could laugh at what I'm saying, but I take that risk. And again, value. Those are the ones that really take off for me. And the reason why they take off is because people know that I'm being real and that I'm being open and that I'm putting something out there. So I think there's ways to Venn diagram value, and everyone uses authenticity, but I'll just say being honest or vulnerable when you put it out there is a good strategy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's why for all of you that just have a company social media presence, that's really not going to do anything. You need to have a key stakeholder on the another program, social media presence, maybe is the word.
Justin.
Okay, Justin, you're last. And yes, the word was media, but now we're moving on to word number 2. Good job. Keep going. Sorry to derail you.
No, I was just going to say, have, whether it's your CEO, your CMO, I don't care who it is, somebody that people can identify with, your business dev person, be the person on social media that people can connect with, because we connect with brands so much, or we connect with individuals so much more than brands. So they're not going to engage with your company page the way they will with an individual profile.
I 1,000,000% agree with you. I think I struggled for maybe a couple of years trying to promote plan design consultants on social media, and it's very, very difficult. They just don't see the human heart of it. So I agree with you 1,000,000%. I think this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot. You can give me all these great ideas and JD can tell you how to create good content and blah, blah, blah. But
I'm going to turn my light on because I just realized how dark it got in here.
But if
I'm on the East Coast, guys, sorry, go ahead.
If you don't have any followers, you're not reaching that many people and therefore not being effective. And I always feel bad to see that.
Calling a timeout.
Yes, shoot. I can't see you. I've got my screen over you, Mark.
You're just staring at yourself. I get it. Okay.
What you do?
We've got a request. Samantha, again, I have multiple screens up right now. I'm looking at you when I say this. This is all I'm saying. It's coming from somebody. We are.
Oh, Penn State. Yes.
Okay.
I love all of my PSU folks.
Really been
Hello.
asking for. That was for you.
Penn State, Michael. Hello.
Kush. What I was going to say is that I don't think people give enough time, energy, and good old fashioned roll up your sleeves work into building their network. I call it stalking, but for years I have set aside time each and every week to continue to grow my network strategically. And it seems like a little weird that I'm just
network or net worth. I can't really tell.
Network. I have zero net worth, Mark. You know that.
I do.
And so I've spent a lot of time at it. And I think people forget that it sounds weird, but don't you think they should allocate a certain amount of time to really keep growing those contacts?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, we were talking about email before, beyond even social media, because email has the highest percentage of conversions over anything. Your email list is like gold in your back pocket. Any prospects you have that you have email, people respond to email. Really you get the highest conversions there over anything else. So that's number one. But number two, anytime you meet anyone, if you're like, I go through my Google Calendar at the end of every week, and anyone I was on a call with, I connect with them on LinkedIn. So I'll go back and look at anyone who was on the calendar invite and send them a connection request. Anybody who was on an email, I was CC'd on. If it was a potential enterprise customer, if it was just an introduction, I connect with them on LinkedIn. And then when LinkedIn gives you all those recommendations of, people you might know in your network, connect with all of them. For everybody sitting here, if you're working with an organization and you see somebody, one of your clients is commenting on somebody else's post, you could leave a comment on the post too if you have something valuable to say, and then connect with them and say, hey, I thought your post was really great. See your friends with so-and-so, just want to connect with you. Do not start pitching them anything, but connect with them and let it just simmer, right? So that is a great, great way to build your network. There are so many now customers, we have large customers that, I might have connected with or someone on our team connected with, and we would just like their posts or comment on things for months and months. And then finally, when the opportunity is right, you can have a strategically timed message that says, hey, we've been connected for a while. We never had a chance to meet, but I saw you were talking about X. We might have a solution that could help if you're interested. So, just don't be a slime ball, but definitely connect with people.
Don't be a slime ball. Throw that on Twitter. No, you're right. You got to let it simmer.
Yeah.
And you got to take your time, and you got to and I think that
like a good pasta sauce.
Yes.
Gotta let it simmer. Right now more than ever, I get all of these communications on LinkedIn where folks are asking to connect, and I see they're connected with JD. So I'm like, well, maybe it should be someone I'm connected with. And then I see that there's social media marketing or something along those lines. And the moment I click yes, it's a pre-populated response of the one that I got today was my favorite. Have you ever considered using video as part of your marketing? I'm like, did you look at our profile before?
Do not do the automated response.
And that came from 20 over 10.
I say no most of the time. Honestly, I know it's about growing the network, but when it's those types that I can tell is nothing more than a pitch, the moment I click yes, I just say no.
You know what I do, Chad? I either once in a while, you can't respond to all of them, but I'll either respond to them and try to get into a really weird, long conversation with them, or I send them a really creepy GIFs.
Of course you do.
GIFs.
You know what I just realized,
GIFs.
Chad?
GIFs or GIFs? GIFs.
You're a hypocrite.
Why is that?
Well, because you just said, well, when someone tells you no, and then you get a response right back. When someone asks you, hey, do you want to meditate? And they tell you no, you shouldn't try to follow up and sell them on how to meditate, why to meditate.
That is not at all what I said. And I'm talking to one of my best friends and I'm saying, you need to eliminate some stress in your life, Mark.
I have no stress in my life. I wear a robe all day.
Samantha, this has absolutely nothing to do with our Zoom and our right now.
Wait, but I do have a question for Samantha that I'm very curious in, because this is the rebuttal I often get from advisors that ask about our social media presence and how they can get more involved. They are genuinely fearful of how they write, what they write, and they spend a great deal of time making sure that it is perfect before they release anything. It creates stress and anguish for them. How do you get those people over that hump?
Are they stressed just about perfection or compliance?
Perfection.
Oh, okay.
It used to be compliance 4 years, 5, 10 years ago. Not anymore. Most of the time.
I mean, there's a couple things I can say. Number one, if you're that worried about it, you probably have barely any followers. So if you do say something dumb, no one's going to see it. Number two, we think about when you go to a wedding and you're on the dance floor and you let loose and you're having the best time, and you're just really in the moment, right? Nobody, no matter how bad of a dancer you look like, is going to look at you and be like, man, that person sucks at dancing. They're going to be like, they're really trying. They're being their authentic self, right? And
Not my wife.
the people that are so worried, that are sitting on the sidelines, that are like, I can't dance. Nobody cares about them, because everyone on the dance floor is thinking, man, I can't dance. I'm making a fool of myself. We're all just posturing. I keep something on my desk that says, don't let perfect be the enemy of good and done. Just do it. And the more you do it, the better it will get. Nobody cares at the end of the day, whether you said it perfect or you missed a period or you spelled something wrong. They just don't. They don't care about you that much.
I'm stealing that dance floor analogy.
Yeah,
That's my new favorite thing I've heard in a
Well,
while.
because it cuts so close to home for you.
It does.
No, you're
Put the music and go, man.
So I went to go get beer. Hey, Justin, did you see the question? Are you pulling up the Q&As?
Justin's failing today.
I failed. There hasn't been that many questions, unfortunately. So Samantha, the question came in: do you think the follower count is important, or is it about your engagements?
I've seen people have really great results with digital marketing that they don't have that many followers on social media. But again, going back to the email, they really cultivated an email list. I just think it makes sense, if you're already creating content for your blog and your website and email, go ahead and put it on social media. The followers, try to think of it like with investments, there's the exponential factor that over time, right? You can't expect these great results from day one, but a little bit of effort every single day. And then all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, look at this. I have an advisor that his story is amazing. So back in the very beginning of 2019, I think it was like January 5th or something, he challenged himself, I'm going to post to LinkedIn every day. And he made it through 302 days of the year. He started, I think it was with 150 followers. And by the end of the year, he had over 2,000, just because he was posting every single day. And, people would comment, and then he would pick up followers. And every day that he was on there, he'd invite a couple people. So, the year is going to pass anyways. So you might as well get started today. So when you can look back at the end of the year.
I think, like anything, if you're a good business person and you understand that digital marketing and social media is the way you should do this, you should put time into doing it. And Samantha brings up great points, like get out there, put that content out there. That helps you connect. But why not set goals? Why not say, hey, I've got 200 followers today. I want to add 20 a week. And this is the goal I want to have by year end. I think that would be a smart thing to do as a business person and entrepreneur. And if you want advice from me, I've built a massive following. And the best way to do it is you get drunk late night and you just start connecting with everybody on LinkedIn on financial services. I just connect.
That's how you fight with Sherry Fitz, so you can get a larger group of people following you, huh?
No, but in all seriousness, to wrap this subject, Samantha brought something up earlier about commenting and liking. And I think people forget that it's not just about posting content. It's also about engaging with other people's content.
Yes.
And doing it in a thoughtful, honest way. And so if you see someone else that puts something out there that's good, you should let them know what you think is good about it. Again, from the heart. And if you continue to do that and kind of spider web your way out through LinkedIn and the internet, you start making lots of friends. And
to your point, when thinking of another way, if you don't want to ask for comments outright, how do you get people to comment on your post? Go comment on theirs, right? It's this kind of like this thing that we all have where if someone is commenting on everything we always share, and then you see they share something, you're like, oh man, they always comment on my stuff. I better leave a comment on theirs. You just feel obliged to do it. So I would definitely use that tactic every single morning. That is one of the things I do is I log on and I'll pick 10 posts to comment on every single morning. And you can go in LinkedIn to all activity And they have a really cool feature where all activity. And you can see not just what you've posted, but everything you've commented or liked. So it's a good way to kind of gauge yourself. I like to call it the 60-40 rule. So 60% of my activity should be liking or commenting other people's content, and only 40% of the activity should be me posting.
But you got to get active with it. And do we still live in a world, Samantha can answer this better, do we still live in a world where there's advisors that think this stuff is just for kids, that, you know, this is TikTok and Snapchat and they shouldn't be working on their social media game?
Maybe before the last 30 days, yes, but I really don't think anybody's gonna think that now. I mean, so some stats. HubSpot showed that all website traffic is up 13% over the 70,000 websites that are on their platform. Facebook,
not ours.
Good to know. Good to know. Facebook reported 27% increase in desktop traffic. So there's all of these people that are at home and accessing Facebook, you know, on their browsers, on their desktop. YouTube, like I mentioned, up 15%, you know. And then you look at the age demographics of who's adopting different platforms. There's a lot of people that many of you want to reach that might not have been spending that much time on social media before, but now they're in quarantine. And the only way to see their grandkids or their kids is to go on Facebook. So be where people are. I mean, it just comes down to that.
I think it's funny because if you look at older advisors, and when I say older, I mean people even my age and older, I mean, because Chad struggles with social. But if you're
and the internet, apparently, because he's not on anymore.
Yeah. and his webcam.
Hold on,
And Justin, jump in with these questions because JD's just filling.
Hey, stop.
I'm mid-conversation.
Samantha, hold on. Justin, shut up, dude. Samantha, can you just say update real quick?
Update.
Chad, it's you.
Damn you. I asked her like 10 minutes ago to say update when I was prepared to throw it up.
No, I wasn't just filling. I actually do believe that older advisors or people that aren't really buying into social media would have no problem going to functions. They'd have no problems being part of the local Rotary Club or small business get-togethers. They've got no problem networking themselves to CPAs and different people. Like, that's how they've built their business model. And so I think it's strange that you can give them this technology that makes it so much more efficient. Like, they don't have to go to that wine mixer. I mean, they still can if they want to. They can literally log onto their computer in the morning and look out over a sea of thousands of whoever their prospects are and start to meet with them, again, in a respectful way and letting it simmer, as you said. But it's just an unbelievable way to build your business and your contacts and win new business. And I just feel like the ones that figure that out and understand it are going to do so well. And the other ones, we'll see.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, Samantha, what do you think about, for those who are struggling with dealing with compliance, what's some strategies they can use?
I'd pick one day a month and just create a bunch of content and then send it off to compliance to get pre-approved or reviewed so that you have a good, backlog. It's honestly a good practice to do anyways, to try to get, because, sometimes a week comes up and you don't have time to produce content or write or create a video. So that's a good strategy. And then that also goes back to what I was saying about, with video. If you're talking to a camera and you have a quick video, a lot of times your compliance officer, if you say, this is my post that I'm going to be posting, here is what it's about, and they can watch a 4-minute video or listen to it instead of read an article that might take them longer, you can get it through compliance quicker sometimes. So those are some good tips that have worked for the advisors that we work with.
And compliance seems to be evolving, right? I mean, they're figuring it out too, that they need to kind of loosen up in some of those areas. Okay. Hey, I really appreciate, you want to ask another question, Justin?
Yeah.
Shoot.
So we've heard some great good to-dos. What are some big do not do's or things that you would say to stay away?
I would say, one of the biggest things is going back to what we were talking about, like trying to sell someone the minute you get their information. don't be salesy. Like when we're asking people to trust us with their potential life savings or their livelihoods for the rest of their lives, the first thing that is going to make them go in the other direction is if they feel like you're trying to sell them something. They just are not going to trust you. So the more you can just make it seem as though you got all the clients in the world and you're just wanting to provide really great information that's helpful to them, that is going to win you people, for sure. Another big, to don't is to gate all your content. So for those of you not in marketing, gating content means you make people fill out a big long form before they can download something, or you make them put in their email every time they want to read a blog post. If you go to 20 over 10's blog, we blog 5 times a week on the 20 over 10 blog and 5 times a week on our Lead Pilot blog. And we are not gating any of that content at all. We make it completely accessible and open, and we get so many more leads and prospects because we're not getting an email from someone who's not ready to be dripped on yet, right? We have a blog subscribe button, and we do push that a lot. And we say, if you want to get our best content every 2 weeks, you can do that by subscribing. And people do that all of the time. I think we've had 300 blog subscribers in the last month amid all this, because we're putting out so much great content for people. Don't gate everything. People will not fill it out every time. And if you do have to have a form to gate something, the less fields someone has to fill out, the better. So optimally, only ask for their email. If you have to have more than one, you can ask for name and email. But once you start asking for their phone number, their company, like all these other fields, your conversion rate is going to go much lower.
You mentioned it earlier in passing a bit, but there are many advisors that have their site set up to where you have to fill out a contact form just to get an email address or a phone number for a site. Is that a big no-no?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, think about how annoyed you would be if you just have a quick question for someone and you can't just email them and you have to fill out a form. The other thing I would say is we have found one of the highest indicators for a site that gets more conversions is having a calendar link on your website that's like a little embed that just follows somebody, right? So rather than them having to send you an email to say, hey, I'm interested, and explain themselves or fill out a form, they can just book a time. They don't have to say anything about what the meeting's about, and then keep a little list of notes. And when the time comes, they're ready to go and they can chat with you. So we did a survey last year and we found having a calendar link was the top thing that sites that had the highest number of conversions all had in common, was they all had a calendar link right on the website.
I think Amanda's trying to set appointments with everybody right now.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, Amanda. We love you.
Sharing the results from the survey. Yeah. So it was really, it's almost like too good to be true. Oh, I just add a calendar link and I'll start getting all of these meetings, but it works.
Unless you don't want to have meetings like me, then it's go ahead, Justin.
We got one more. What's your best league what is your best lead magnet idea for a 401k advisor website right now?
So again, I don't really suggest you gating that much content. So it's sort of a bad follow-up, but if you are going to gate something, I think that it should be more a longer form piece of content for really much more qualified leads, where maybe they're not ready to give their email up, but they're really in the investigation stage where they're close to making a decision and they're comparing you against 1 or 2 other people. So have one of those educational webinars or go in deep, like a video, a 20 minute video that's a slide deck of you walking through a process of something that you're providing a lot of value on. You could gate that, and that would be, to me, something worth people's time to give their email address to get.
Oh, sorry, I got a dog scratching at me.
I'm sure we've been sitting here, everyone's getting
Justin, did she not understand you correctly there, or was that?
No, she answered what not to do, and then what to. Yeah, that's good.
You said magnet though. That was weird.
So the question was, what attracts people to your website? She heard gate I want to be clear.
So to me, like a lead magnet is they're already on your website, and now you're trying to get them to convert to a lead by giving their email. If you just mean what's some good ways to attract traffic, it goes back to content marketing. But again, think outside the box when you're creating content. So for instance, there was an advisor we worked with who he was in a local area before all this started with the shutdown, and he was in a small town in Iowa, and he created a list and he put it out every month of the top things going on in the town that people should go visit or spend their time on, or free events. And he would post it on social media and tag, the different festivals or the businesses or the restaurants, and everybody reshared it like gangbusters. And he created a huge following to his website because of that. So, oh gosh, what was the word?
I didn't.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Don't
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
So, so it doesn't have to be always even something. Just think about like what is going to be, again, I know I'm like saying this over and over again, going to be helpful. Maybe think about the people that you're serving. What is a common, again, pain point that is just really frustrating for them? And what's something you could do as a roundup or a guide or a list, a checklist for them, when they're implementing a new plan, or when they're, maybe it's a survey that they could put out to all of their employees about what, is specifically bothering them, whatever it is. We created an intern. Like if you want to hire a digital marketing intern, here is a job post you could put up at the local college. Here's a list of duties you could give to them on day one. Here's a calendar of what every activity they should cover for you in your business, 10 hours a week over the whole semester. It doesn't bring us any new business in like the.
Don't touch your face, ding dong.
What's about time? Jeez.
All right. She's on a roll and we derail her. No, you're saying the same thing over and over again because it's true and because nobody seems to get it right. And what I've heard from you over and over and over again, which I think is extremely valuable, is when you're thinking about putting this stuff together, think about the end user and give them some free shit that they want and that they can use.
Yeah.
And if you follow that rule, you're going to be putting out good content and all this other stuff's going to follow. We've had you here for a long time. Here's the good news. Here's the good news, Samantha. We're going to turn all this craziness into a nice little 9-minute edit, and it's going to be phenomenal. Trust me, Brandon's going to get it figured out. But we appreciate you chatting it up with us. Mark's got one more thing to keep it going. Yes, Mark.
It's a quick question, Samantha. You're an Ohio native, correct?
Correct.
I just want to know.
Stalking.
Stalker.
Real quick, do you like or dislike LeBron James?
I liked LeBron James.
Liked. That was
Liked.
makes sense.
No, I said like. I like him. I think, you think about all the pressure put on somebody at his age. Like I think about that whole, like the Decision, like series he did, primetime TV, and whoever was his PR person, that was like a terrible move. But, he just in the overall scheme of things, how he handled himself as such a young person going straight into that much fame and all the things he did to bring Cleveland back. I mean, people were downtown more than ever before. It brought back business. It revitalized business. The downtown, most of you've never been to Cleveland, Ohio, but it's actually super fun to visit now. I love him. I think he's done a lot of really great things.
Cleveland rocks.
Michael just said, gotta go, but this was great. You're a liar, Michael. This show is horrible. Suzanne says, gotta go. It's great. Everyone's gotta go. They're seeing that. Thanks again. We really appreciate it. Getting your insights, your expertise. We'll continue to share your all your efforts with all the people that we can. Maybe throw some people your way. So anyone who's tuning in, look them up. 20 over 10. I'll send you those little comic clips for your Twitter so you can use later. And
fantastic. It was so nice meeting you all and hanging out. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
yeah, we are the
Appreciate
Retireholics, changing the retirement plan industry one shitty Zoominar at a time. Mark, what do we say to finish this off? Maya?
Don't touch your face, ding dong.
Thanks, Maya. Don't touch your face, ding dong. See ya, everybody. Thank you.
Peace. Good night, everybody.
Hey, Mark. How's it going? Sticking around.